Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, if you guys saw yesterday's 10 for the chairman, then you probably might be able to guess what I'm going to be talking about today. Because, at face value, the smuggling announcement, the fact that you would be able to put a little smuggling compartment in your ship, that opens up possibilities for smugglers who want to run space cocaine through Empire. That would be probably a good topic for a show. And there was some talk of privateering or what is it, commerce rating style warfare. Might be a good topic for a show. But there was one thing that just kind of snuck out, that just kind of slipped out during that 10 for the chairman, and that was the Crucible variant. The Crucible variant for rearming and resupplying ships. Wow. It was something that just kind of seemed like it just snuck out, but it's something that opens up a lot of possibilities because if you think about it, a lot of pilots kind of prefer energy weapons, and one of the reasons behind that, I feel, at least in my case, and I'm probably a lot of other pilots are thinking the same thing, is if you're using energy weapons, you don't have to worry about ammunition. You don't have to worry about ammunition. Yeah, you have a limitless supply. But in certain respects, projectiles are very attractive weapons. Sledge twos, the GT 220s, the GT 870s. When I look at weapons like the Sledge 2 or the big size 3, solid shock cannons, I forget the name of them right off the top of my head right now. I can't think of it. I was looking at stuff like that, and I was thinking about the Saber, or I was thinking about the Ghost Hornet, because with the Ghost, you can put the chin turret on it and the ball turret as well. And I was thinking about those things kind of like laying an ambush in an asteroid field, and being able to kind of, maybe a small group of guys working together and just being able to snipe out fighters as they wander into the belt, and then just retrieve whatever they can out of the ship, and then reposition and see if someone else comes along, and just various tactics like that. But always the drawback was, what happens? What do you do when you run out of ammunition? Do you have to go back to station and reload, or or what? If you have to go back to a station, then you have to move out in the open. You have to expose yourself. You expose yourself to the chance that someone can get you back or can be lying in wait for you when you invariably run out of ammo. But having a ship like this, hopefully something that you can hide somewhere, that you can rearm at, at an undisclosed location where no one else can find you, or no one else can find you easily. That opens up a lot of possibilities. And with that little announcement, it just kind of said, okay, now this was possible before, but now it might even be viable, especially if you're operating like a very stealthy fleet. But it doesn't only apply to that. All of a sudden, all these light fighters, not only in terms of their setup, but if you can do a little bit of refueling off of this ship as well. You used to be able to do that with the Starfarer, but can the Starfarer rearm a ship? Now all of a sudden you have this Crucible variant that can do that. Now, I don't remember him exactly saying refuel, so you might need both ships, but all of a sudden all these light fighters, it's like they've got new legs. You can take them out further and out into deep space, and you're not just sitting there thinking, well, if I want to go with my org and they're going off, behind Vanduul lines, well, I'm gonna have to bring like a I was about to say vagabond, talk about the EVE Online days, but you got to bring a Vanguard or something long range to go out and hang with your friends, because you don't want to be just sitting there with your quote unquote short range fighter Gladius, and being left out in the cold, because while they can do it in 2 jumps, it takes you 10, or the same amount of time as 10, because you got to always stop at a station to get more fuel, or you got to keep holding everybody up. As soon as you run out of ammunition, you're like, "Oh, guys, I gotta go all the way back to station, so I'm gonna need someone to walk me all the way back to the station and supply me with fuel the whole way." Whereas you can just kind of go to this ship, just get more ammo, and keep going. And hopefully fuel. I would assume that fuel would be a part of it. I can't see it not being. But it opens up a lot of possibilities. So I was very excited to hear that. And especially with all these light fighters, it just seems to give them a new lease on life. Whereas before, when I looked at them, I was like, okay, well, these are good ships to get started with. But if you really want to go out into deep space, you're going to need something bigger. And at that point, you don't want to be the guy holding everything up, and you don't want to be kind of restricted in what you can do by limitations of ammo or fuel. And now all of a sudden, we had the Starfarer, which was fuel for sure, but now we have this other ship, which is possibly ammunition and possibly fuel. I would guess fuel would be a part of it. And that was a really great thing to hear. I know that the community has been, kind of raising this point over and over and over again, that we need a light carrier that we can operate. And people go, "Oh, well, you can get an Idris." Well, not everyone wants to buy an Idris, and not everyone wants to operate an Idris with 10 crew members. I mean, if the instance population limit is only going to be 50 or 75 or even maybe 100, 10 people tied up to an Idris is still a significant amount of people. Now you can say, well, you can just put NPCs in those jobs. But are you really going to want a fully NPC'd Idris versus having a crew of actual people who know what they're doing and don't have to be told and are intuitive? I mean, that's my biggest qualm with NPCs. Letting them operate turrets, I have no problem with, but counting on them to make the right decision at the right time, I'd rather rely on people than on NPCs. And all this kind of works together. Whereas the Crucible is 5 crew members at most. Maybe you can get away with 3 with the basic functions being carried out by NPCs. It opens up a lot of possibilities, especially with these light fighters and different fleet makeups and different ship loadouts, because now you can seriously consider projectile weapons again, because you can actually bring an ammo resupply with you instead of saying, "Well, sorry guys, all out of quarters, got to go back to station and reload." So it was a really, really great thing to hear, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. And who knows what's in the future. So that's pretty much all I got to say on that topic. But I think it's still it was a little announcement that could possibly have a lot of implications for future gameplay and the evolving meta of the game as we move forward, and what's convenient and what's easy versus what would be great but would be very inconvenient and difficult to maintain. It's just some interesting new information and some interesting possibilities. So definitely something to look forward to, and hopefully we hear more about it very soon. Now I just want to find out what's going to be on the live stream on the 16th, because I'm very excited to find out that. Hopefully it's not just atmospheric flight, but hopefully there's something else in there as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.